All right, before we get going on Spotlight, I have one more little lesson to show you about detailing stuff. And again, once again, the importance of resolution. Okay, um, so when what I've got here is a Boolean object, which I will hopefully show you at some point how to do. Um, okay, so these two things are melded together. There's no continuation of this underneath here. Okay, but you can see they're in really different resolutions. Okay, and that can be problematic when you're trying to do detail. Okay, so I'm going to grab a brush here, and let me move out of this so you can see where this kind of came from. And I'm going to go to the brush palette here and the light box, and you'll see there's all kinds of brushes in here that you didn't know existed, or maybe you did, maybe you didn't. But there's one called scales. Yay. So if I double click that, I get these guys, and I've got some generic scales. I've got fish scales, I've got snake scales, lizard scales, all kinds of things. Now these are actually designed with a particular, or built into a particular brush. Okay, so if I go to this scales fish B, I don't know what that looks like. Um, so see what it creates here. It makes an alpha, or it has an alpha associated with the brush. Okay, and if I drag on this with my intensity, I'll just turn this stuff off. With my intensity, fairly low, I'm going to get a scale effect. Okay, now that scale effect is pretty nice, except it's really awful in terms of resolution. Okay, see how chunky that is? If I hover over this, you'll see this actually looks pretty clean. So I need to boost the resolution of this. And if I try and do the same thing on this planar area, I can't even tell that anything happened. It's just kind of moving giant points around because there's nothing there for it to actually mimic in terms of what shows up in this alpha. Okay, so that's point one. I'm going to undo, and what I'm going to need to do here is find a way to get these both at a higher resolution. So if I just divided this, Control D, this would divide, and this will start to look more divided on the edges, but really nothing's going on here because they're never going to look the same unless you do something more dramatic. And the way you can do that is, of course, with Dynamesh. Okay, so, and this is just sort of an offhand thing to know. If I change this resolution, I'm going to just bump this up to, like, I don't know, we'll just do 256. That may not be enough, but we'll try it. And I'm going to go to, yeah, all that's fine. Just click Dynamesh. So you'll see now both of these things are at the same level, okay? So that I can then modify one and it will look the same on the other one. Okay, I'll turn that off so you can see. Okay, so now if I do this, okay, now I'm getting some, something going on here. Okay, and see, I drew real slow here and I went pretty quickly on this one. And that, again, is going to affect how these things look. So if I extend my lazy radius here to something bigger, I'm going to have an easier way of controlling that. Okay, and that's in another video. I talked about that, like so. Okay, so that works great if you want to just use something like that to paint scales on your fish or something like that. That's cool, like so. Okay, but there's another way as well. Okay, and that way is I'm going to go back to my standard brush. Okay, and I'm going to actually bring an alpha in that I already imported into ZBrush. Okay, and you can import your own alphas into here like this by clicking that. And the one I've got here is called Scaly Skin, and this is actually taken from something. I don't think it's a fish, but it's from a photo. Okay, and with just the regular dots thing on here, I get kind of a mess of stuff happening. You kind of see the resolution isn't great, but it's also, it could use a little bit more detail in terms of not overlapping. All right, so the way around that is to change dots to drag rectangle. Okay, and when you use that and drag, what it does is it draws out the shape. okay, and you can rotate it. And the farther you pull the mouse, the bigger it gets, okay? Now this is still a little coarse, so I'm just going to divide this. I'm going to turn Dynamesh off. I only wanted to use Dynamesh briefly to get these the same, okay? Then I'm going to just divide this, and I'll show you what that looks like. Control D. That gets this up to almost 1 million polygons, which is a bit extreme for a demo, but that's okay. What the hell? Turn that off. Okay. Now if I drag this out, you'll see that looks pretty sweet. Okay, and I can drag another one on top of it and just kind of stop where they line up. And it has a very soft edge, so you can get away with a lot in terms of overlapping without noticing too much what's happening. Okay, like that. And this is going to work just the same on here. I'll do this one really big. Okay, so you can kind of see how that goes. All right. So this is a really useful thing, and I've got a batch of these alphas that I got from a book, I think. I will upload those for you guys so you can try them out and play around with that if you like. I'll just make a folder. I'll zip it so you can just download the whole folder and then unzip it on your computer and try plugging some of these in. Okay, so this is just, again, just a way to kind of show you without using Spotlight, which we're going to cover next. I keep saying that. Really, we will. How without using that, how you can actually detail by using, you know, carefully chosen alphas to get something across. Okay, and these alphas are really flexible, and as you can see here, there are many, many more of these than you know what's showing. There may be some in the Lightbox. I don't know. Yeah, there's some alphas in here too. Okay, so if I do like leathery skin here, just to show you, you know, how a different one might look. Oh, I'm just gonna pull this in here. I think I will just grab that. I don't know why. There it goes. Not loaded. Okay, I'll try that here too, just to show that. Okay, so you can get some really interesting kind of chaotic surfaces, and I've got this intensity pretty high. If you do this nice and small, you know, you can get a really nice looking skin feel, elephant skin, things like that, looking really good. And you can also, of course, smooth these things to take them down a notch as well. Okay. Okay, so that's it. That's just really, you know, basic stuff. The more in-depth stuff will come in the next video, unless I come up with something else to delay the inevitable. Okay, that's it. Cool.